In today's video, I want to show you the sales brochures for the Farmall Super A and the C. They both came out in 1948. The C was the replacement for the earlier Farmall B, which you've seen in a previous video, and the Farmall A, which I've also shown you. The Farmall A had a 113 cubic inch motor in it, which was the same thing they used in the F12. When they started making the Super A in 1948, one thing that IH did is they always kind of like put stuff out before it was really quite ready yet. And so when the Super A came out in 1948, they still, for the first 5,000 or so units, used the same exact motor from the A into the Super A. And then after about 5,000 units were out, they went to their new engine, which was still a 113 engine, but they had thicker sleeves in it. And so it's a little bit more horsepower, and you can actually get more horsepower out of a Super A by taking the sleeves out and put some thinner sleeves in. Then you get more displacement, and so that's a trick that a lot of people use. But some people really didn't know that the main difference between the Super A and the A, of course, is the hydraulics, the touch control system, which wasn't perfected in 1947 when the Cub came out. But they wanted to get that Cub out, so in 1948 you could take your Cub back and get it retroactively fixed, or put the touch control in it. But so the Super A came out in 1948, and it was basically the same tractor as the A, but you could see that there was no gap underneath the tank. So a lot of the parts and pieces of the A don't fit the Super A, and that's a misnomer that some people don't know. I've seen a lot of A's, which were obviously 1939 to 1948, have hydraulics added, and there was two ways they could do that. Number one, they could put it on the power takeoff, which was not live power, it was transmission driven, so the clutch had to be engaged for the hydraulics to work. So every time you drove into a pile, pushed the clutch in, you lost your hydraulics, which John Deere had the same problem, as did Ford. And it wasn't until the NAA came out in 1952, the Jubilee tractor, that Ford finally had live hydraulics on their tractors. But IH was really kind of ahead of the game with live hydraulics in 1948. And the C, which behind me you'll see a 200 and a Super C, and a lot of people don't know the difference between a Super C and a C. Well, the biggest difference between the Super C and the C is that the Super C has a water pump on it, and it has a taller radiator, so therefore it has a taller grill. And you can see there's, on the front of this one, it's a little bit hard because it's getting a little dark out now, but I'll walk over here and show you. Right here is where the crank goes in, and there's this gap right here, and in the C it's a little bit different, and you can count how many flutes are on here, and the C will be different. Also, the steering wheel on the Super C is bigger. It's a bigger seat. It's a bigger, wider diameter steering wheel. The angle of the steering column is a little bit steeper on the Super C because they had the bigger steering wheel and you had to have room to get your legs under there still. So you got also the mounting pads, which is what IH attached all the implements to the tractors with. These, you'll see them all over the sides where the bolt holes are, and they reinforced a lot of those with the Super C. So the C, it's a lot better than the B as far as I'm concerned. I really think the B's look kind of funny myself, but a lot of people like them. They're kind of hard to find, and I've seen a couple, and I almost bought one here recently. The B had a vacuum lift, and so that's what the Super A replaced, was the older vacuum lift, and some people call it a manifold lift or what have you, or the proper word was the lift-all system that IH used. And they didn't use hydraulics on the A. The A at the time was the smallest tractor, and the H and the M had hydraulic systems on them. So when they came out with the Super A, they added, so all their whole line of tractors, the A, C, H, and M, all had live hydraulics. The A, the C, the H, and the M all had hydraulics at that point. So it's getting a little bit too dark out here now. I'm gonna take you in And I'm going to show you a couple little toy tractors that I've got. Can't miss an opportunity to show you a couple of those. So let's go into the barn for a second. There's a sunset up here on the mountain. We did have quite a storm here recently, mostly like heavy freezing rain and sleet, and there was a lot of outages. My grape arbor over there got kind of flattened, so we worked on that today. But we always got a really beautiful sky up here. So I just wanted to share that with you for a second. This is only a small sampling of my farm toys. A lot of them are in different boxes. My wife has been rearranging the house, and so they're in different places that I'm not even sure of where they are at this moment. But anyway, so here's a C right here. And this is a white demonstrator C. Over here is just the Farmall A. And then the 140 is over there on the edge. But I wanted to show you the white demonstrator here briefly. And you're going to see a little bit of this advertising material here in some of these brochures. IH had a big event in 1950. They were trying to push tractors, so they really were engaging their dealers to push dealers. They even had a harvester had a contest, and whichever dealership sold the most units in 1950, they got a free trip to Harvester Works, which I think would have been pretty cool, to be honest with you. But there was a whole bunch of advertising material that was available in 1950, and I'll show you some of that. And there are still some of those white demonstrator tractors out there, and the Cub also was one of them. The Cub A and the C were what they called the 1950 white demonstrators. What was supposed to happen was the dealership was supposed to paint them, spray them over red, and most of them were. Some weren't, of course, but you know, a white tractor is kind of cool, but it shows all the grease and oil and everything. And John Deere had that issue with their patio tractors in the late 60s, and that's a whole different subject, but very interesting, because John Deere had those white patio series tractors for about a year and a half, and they were a white garden tractor. That's what they were, garden tractors. There was the 110, 112, 120, and the 140. And so the tractors came from the factory white, and the dealer had like spruce yellow. I don't remember all the different names. So anyway, it basically was they had John Deere green, and then you'd have the whole green tractor, of course. They had a yellow one, April yellow, I think. Yeah, April yellow. I don't remember what the spruce blue, and then an orange and patio red. And I don't remember what the autumn. I don't remember what autumn orange or something. But so there were four basic colors, and the orange was basically Alice Chalmers orange. Blue was Ford blue. Red was IH red, and the yellow was just a John Deere yellow color. And so the seats were different. The seats and the hoods matched. It was kind of a debacle. Nobody wanted to buy a white tractor with some off-colored hood on it, so it was a nightmare. But the point I'm trying to make is that John Deere painted all those tractors green to get them out because they couldn't sell them, and now they're worth a lot of money. I actually had one, and the hood and the seat are worth more than the whole tractor. So, but anyway, so the deal was IH was supposed to paint all those tractors red. And for the most part, they did that. But people are still finding today that they have a tractor that was dealer painted, and so they have a 1950 tractor, and they're fixing it up to paint it or whatever, and they see the white paint bleeding through, so they know they've got a demonstrator tractor. And there's probably a serial number, and I don't know I don't know the details of what serial numbers they were, but I'm sure it's out there. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I appreciate all of you who have been watching the channel. Just want to shout out to all of you for that, and I do appreciate it. So without any further lip service, let's get to the video.